Midnight Ramen is a minimally edited, live recorded podcast that takes place at midnight. Although Michael may not be consuming food, it's time to get your bowls out. It's chow time.
Welcome back to you. Break stride, sailing me. Free falling, choose my enemy. Free from the things you say. It will all come back someday.
Good evening, gamers and other folks alike. I hope y'all are doing good tonight. You are listening to Midnight Ramen with me, Michael. Hope, again, as I literally just stated, hope y'all are doing good. If you want to watch this live, you can go to twitch.tv/MeltLyric where you can not only watch this live, you can interact in the chat. Not tonight though, but I mean you can be in the chat, but you can change the conversation. But that's the main thing. Not really tonight though, and you can watch the after show. And this and that, yada yada yada, blah 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 blah. But if you miss it being live, you can still watch the VOD for up to 2 weeks. It's all unedited, whatever, it's up on here. But once it's gone, it's gone. But the edited, trimmed down version is on YouTube. But also, it's on Spotify, starting at episode 100, as well as when I used to do this as a radio show, that's on there as well. So that's another thing to look for on there. Just Midnight Ramen, the radio show. I even mentioned it in my most recent video that I put out on my YouTube channel. That's, not one of these episodes, which is crazy. It's a do review, which is like 8 minutes long. It's crazy they made it 8 minutes long. But yeah. Tonight's topic is going to be a little bit dreary, mainly because, what I was alluding to last week, in last week's episode, my grandma is in hospice now. I visited her literally the day after the episode, or the same day, technically, that the episode was airing, and it's not good. But not to be cynical or mean or anything. It's like, she's still with us, but honestly, I feel like she's ready to go. I mean, she hasn't been all there for a long time, kind of since COVID, but that I feel like it's kind of part of a thing with her family, because I know some of her sisters had memory problems when they were older, and she kind of went the same way. And that's a big thing, that, and not really know. I'll get into it more in depth, but there's part of the reason that I do this as a show is because when I'm old and stuff like that, or whatever, and why didn't you remember any of how you grew up or what your life was about? Well, here's documentation and things of that. And I don't want to make this episode be a real downer either, just because it's a part of life. It is a part of life. And I am sad about it. And I kind of don't know when it'll happen. I've been kind of all week just on pins and needles, when am I going to get the call? But luckily hasn't happened yet. But there's some, mainly on Sunday, I'm more worried. If it happens on Sunday, oh man, that's going to be weird. Or tomorrow, which would be Friday the 13th. That'll be ew. But you know, yeah. I really don't want to make this a sad one. I'm going to be telling good stories. So that's what we're going to be doing. About not only my grandma, but like my other grandparents, because like I don't really think I've really talked a whole lot about them. And plus, like, again, a good part of this is to keep the family, the family, not family, the family history continuing and passing that on. I know one of my projects in high school is doing this intergenerational project where you interview like your parents, your grandparents, or talk to your grandparents, or if you even have them, great grandparents, about their lives and their stories, and trying to keep a record of that and continuing it on and on and on. Besides the fact of, oh, my great great grandfather was a farmer, or this or that. It's like something other than that, you know. Or, oh, my grandfather was a banker. It's to keep more detail of that in record. Because I feel like, again, I'll talk about it later as to why. Because I feel like it'll be built into a story. I'm pretty much baked in. But I'm going to kind of do it with my mom's side first, because like both of them left or passed on when I was younger. So it's not a whole ton to speak about or compared. But also I still have a lot of memories and stuff about them. So my grandma, who was the first one to, my grandma on my mom's side, who was the first one to go, I don't even want, like, should I really talk about how she passed? Well, she passed away because, more or less, I don't want to say it was malpractice, but she had like a botched surgery, but there was no really good way of recovering from it. Or not really botched, but surgery that went wrong, or this or that. I don't have a whole ton of memories of her, just because she died when I was like 3 or 4 at best. Like, I can probably remember a couple memories here or there, but I do remember going to her funeral, because I must have been 2002. I remember being at, the funeral home, and I remember it being snowy, and I remember going to the church, and I remember for some reason, something about Stuart, like watching Stuart Little. I don't remember, but it was during, it was during Easter. So my parents were trying to like hide the fact, keep the Easter festivities and stuff up while, grieving over the loss of a loved one. It was kind of like twofold, trying to keep the kids, in line, but also they're still traveling and trying to keep that and hide it. And I think about it, it had to have been after 9/11, because, they had like a luggage thing with like Easter eggs and stuff like that, and trying to hide it from us as kids. And I think that's the same one, if I'm not mistaken. It's like kind of my first time in snow that I can recall. I think my parents pushed me out there. I like stood for like a second, and I like, without even from their recollection, without even like what's the term? Dang it. But without like breaking stride, I just like, I don't even turn around. I just walk back in. It was kind of funny. But I do remember, because there's a hill kind of by by their farm or whatever development now, and we'd always slide down the hill and stuff like that all the time when we were there. Yeah. So I don't really know. And my grandma tried to make my first words be in Czech. I know she was basically speaking a lot of Czech around me when I was, when she was around, or we were around them, or this or that. So she was trying to make me speak Czech. I'm half Czech, so that checks out. And if you think that joke sucks, check this. check yourself before you wreck yourself. Oh my gosh. It's actually off the dome. That's like, okay, I can't lie. That's like the second funniest thing I've said today. There's some like complicated joke or like smartest, like funniest joke that I came up with today. I'm not like something about work. I'm not gonna. It's not even worth it. That's besides the point. But yeah, she always like my mom keeps saying like when I was like an infant, she tried to make me, or like my grandma tried to make me say, Czech, speaking Czech, which it's not. I don't think it's that difficult of a language. I mean, a lot of like Slavic stuff and languages within that region are kind of similar. I mean, Czechoslovakia was once a united country, and they broke apart because they hated each other, as a lot of Eastern European countries do. They hate each other. But no, my family is true Czech. If anyone comes at me, my family's true Czech. They were close to Prague, so shut the flip up. Or they're from a village close to Prague. Relatively close to Prague, like just south of it. I can't remember. We don't know. Or like, I don't know offhand. But they were relatively close to Prague. But yeah, we'd always visit my grandpa. I think when we would come up, because this is when we were still living in Arizona. Whenever we like flew in, I think we'd always stay with my mom's parents, just because they had space in their house. So like, we did a lot of sledding. I'm not gonna lie. We did a lot of like going down things. We'd like slide down the hill, slide down the steps. There's like a trampoline in the basement. We were like, there's this rambunctious kid in me, so like I would do stupid shit all the time. And it didn't help that my cousin was like basically across the road. So when we were there, it was like a madhouse in there. It got pretty rowdy when we had all of us cousins and stuff in the house. Yeah. And like we go down to the lake because it's right. We're right by a lake too, and we go fishing. Just basically catch and release because like we were kids, And when you go, I think boating we really didn't do. I mean, on my dad's side we kind of did, but like on my mom's side, no. I don't think any of my mom's siblings had a boat or like really owned a boat, or break out another 1,000, as a lot of people up here say in a good old state of Minnesota. Yeah. But I do remember my grandpa, my mom's dad. He was a farmer for life, and he was like one of his like later his projects later in life. He was working on like a mule basically, and he was trying to fit it out so he could go ice fishing in it, and like he was like kind of refurbishing it, but he was also making it so it's like a little basically. It's kind of like how to describe it. It's like a golf cart essentially. It's like a truck of a golf cart, but he was trying to make it or fit it so you could drive it out on the ice, and without even leaving the mule, you could make a hole and start fishing from it. which is pretty cool, honestly. I don't think he ever got to use it like that, and because he had cancer and yeah, which I'll get into in a second. But I remember him working on that all the time, and I think once he had cancer and he got into an accident, which I'll get in. There's a story behind that. Oh man, he didn't really work on it and just gained dust and kind of went to the wayside. And I think my uncle who was living with him kind of finished it, but I don't, to my knowledge, I don't think it was really used for its intended purposes. But yeah. But I remember before we sold our house in Arizona, me and my dad, came up and lived in the farm on the farm for a while, and it was good to hang out with my cousin again was like living down the street, so he was basically over every day because it was a summer. It's like summer 2006, I want to say. I believe it was. I'm pretty certain it was 2006. Yeah, it was 2006. Yes. Wait, right? What? I don't have an image that I can compare it to. I'm pretty certain that it is 2006 that happened. Um, like he was a big Yu-Gi-Oh head. He's the reason that I got into a lot of card games and other stuff. Like, goddamn, I could go for a bit on that. Not because I'm like the youngest. I'm the youngest on my mom's side, like the cousins on my mom's side, like all of the grandchildren. But on my dad's side of the males, I'm the oldest. So that accounts for something. So, yeah. That is something. But no, we like I remember a lot of memories and times being on the farm, doing things, hanging out with my grandpa then. It was nice. And then we moved up here officially, but for like the first year, because it was like, okay, I think it was like it must have been 2007, 2008, like right when the housing market crashed, and we didn't have a home, we didn't know where to move into, and so we just lived on we just lived on the farm just because it was close and had a good school, whatever. And that's what we did for like a year, and there was a lot more space because like my dad's grandparents were like living in a townhouse, so they didn't have a whole lot of space. I mean, we visited quite a lot, but they didn't have a whole lot of space for guests and visitors and things like that. But yeah, a lot of good times then. A lot of good times. So one time, so we went on a trip to Wisconsin Dells with my grandpa. I don't remember why. He just wanted to go with something else, change of scenery, and we were coming back home. And on the way home, he's like, "Well, I gotta get going. I should probably explain a little bit." So he was like rushing to get home because he wanted to go see his caretaker slash more or less slash girlfriend. And he was like, I gotta go. I want to get back home before this. There was like a rainstorm coming, like a very big rainstorm coming. And he wanted to get home before. So he was like, I'm going to drive. And we went on a huge detour that added like maybe an hour into the trip. I don't know. It was real dumb. Like extra 30 minutes to an hour. I don't know. And so we get back home, and he's like, I gotta go. And it's already like storming at this point. Come to the next day, he gets into a crazy car accident. Like the truck slid off the road into a cornfield, like, tumbled and stuff. Like, and he was hurt really bad, like really bad. And he was probably speeding. But thank God he was wearing a seatbelt, because like I think that was a huge thing too. If he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, he would have died. He would have easily died. But he was the funny thing is he was like, even though like at the time, I'm a stupid dumb kid. I didn't really understand what the hell's going on. I understood what was going on. He wanted to go. Like that, he wanted to, see his girlfriend basically. And even she kind of acknowledged that she was. And yeah, there's a whole lot of story there too. It was, and so he's putting like has the cast on. So if like you've seen the movie Mean Girls, like after Regina George gets hit by a bus, she has a cast on, a halo. That's what my grandpa had. And I think at this time, I don't know if it was then or after, he was diagnosed with it was lung cancer. Because he was, because he was a farmer, he wasn't wearing a mask when he was handling chemicals, and the chemicals obviously gave him cancer from that. Weirdly enough, yeah, and that's kind of how he got cancer and stuff like that. So I'm trying to remember how, like, he lived. I think he died in 2012, and I played at his funeral. He gave me his trumpet, and like he refurbished it. He went the whole 9 yards. Like it has his name on it. Like he has his name engraved on it. Like my band teacher, and I think I might have talked about it before, but my band teacher in high school, like he wanted that trumpet. Like we thought the reason that I switched over to French horn was so that he could get the trumpet. It's like, no, like that was a funny joke. Obviously that wasn't the case, but that was it was a running gag for a long time that my band teacher, like the high school band teacher, wanted my trumpet. Just because it was like a 1920s con, something like that. It's really old, really old. It still plays. I probably should if I were to put some work into it, like it sounds incredible. It's old. It's older, but like it looks pretty good. And it plays pretty good too. And I just remember playing at his funeral, and within the span of a year too, my cousin, just like a year or a couple year older cousin, he lost his other, I think it was grandma, I can't remember. He lost his last grandparent, with both his, all of his grandparents were gone within a year. Well, except for our grandma. I think he had one left basically after my grandpa died, and they died within the year. And I remember playing at their funeral as well. And I just remember him coming up to me and just hugging me afterwards. It's tough, losing a loved one. That's hard, no matter who it is. But that again is part of life. It is. Ooh, no magic cards today. I'm going to be flat out honest. No magic cards. This is a serious episode. We're not doing them. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, I feel like there's another good story there. But then my grandpa's girlfriend, she lived in the house for a while. There's some land stuff here and there and some deals. We, even to this day, we have a private landing because, we own the land, or own the dock, or own the land. And we still have people to this day when it's ice fishing and stuff like that. They're like, oh yeah, I talked to your grandfather, whatever, your dad or grandfather, about us being able to use it. It's well, why did you do that? Oh, the other day. The other day meaning over 15 years, like over like 10 years ago. It's like we get that all the time. All the time. Especially during ice fishing season. Well, although like when it's like right now in June or like July too. Yeah. There's a lot of people that use it that should not be using it. I mean, people can use it, but they really shouldn't. It's only for like local residents, I think, and, us. Like my family. Yeah. But my dad's side, there's a lot of history I could go over because like I know them a bit more. Like there's some history on my mom's side. Like yeah, I could still go for a while. Um, I think well, I don't want to get too crazy with it. Uh, but on my dad's side, I did because they were the only ones living when I had to do this project I was mentioning at the beginning. The reason that I interviewed my grandma because like she has kind of an interesting life. She like grew up in North Dakota. She like she went all around the place. She had a lot of siblings, and this and there's just like crazy stuff here and there, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. That's good for this project. But I feel like in retrospect, I really should have interviewed my grandpa because no, like I know about my grandpa, but I don't know about him. Like I know him, but I don't know his story. I don't know his story. Like I know of him, I know what he's been, I know who he was, but I don't know his story. Like I don't know how he grew up much. Like I know how my grandma and grand on my mom's side, I know how they grew up. They were farmers. Like I've heard like stories here and there, but like I don't know much about how my grandpa did. My grandpa on my dad's side did. Which is kind of a shame, I feel like. And it didn't help it was like he passed away right when COVID hit. But we'll jump back to that later. Later. I'm gonna take a drink. It's also crazy. It's always crazy to have a Dr. Pepper cream soda and a water just because I felt like it. I'm like, I need something to drink. Mm. Make me feel something. Live. So one of the funniest and earliest or stories that I can tell about my grandparents on my mom's side. I mean, on my dad's side. Actually, quick one about my birth. So my mom's parents came down when I was born, or around the time I was born, and I didn't come out when I was supposed to because I said no, it's not hot enough. And I just remember a story that my grandpa's like, that motherfucker, that guy, that stupid kid better come out. My shoes are literally melting to the pavement. Just the thought of him like walking around and his shoes are literally melting. In Arizona, that does happen. That does happen, but it's like, melting on the side on the sidewalk. Just like really funny. It's like, you better come out. I swear, come on. Uh, that was just a quick story on him, but back to the other ones. So my dad's side, going on to my dad's side. So my grandparents were down. I was about 3 at the time, just turned 3, and Wait, no. Yeah, I just turned 3. And I had to do a count just to be sure. And, it was like a normal morning and whatever. My dad's heading off to work. And then, uh, it's 9/11. 9/11 is unfolding, literally unfolding. And my grandparents obviously like flew down here, and flew down from Minnesota to Arizona. So it's like, well, shit. First of all, we're like, well, now what? How are they going to get back? But the day of, the day that it's happening, they're watching all of this unfold. My dad's like calling his work because he's he's former Navy, making calls, telling people to get out of buildings, this and that, and this and that. And I think he gets a call from my grandma. It's like, or they're, everyone's coming home, or everyone's at home, and then my grandma has the audacity to say, "Where's Michael?" Yeah, I'm flying one of the planes right now. I'm flying one of the planes. Obviously. Full stop. I must have not have been in the room. She's like, she full on thought I was flying one of the planes. Like, huh? Uh, and we like, for the longest time, we teased her about it. Like, no joke. She thought I was flying one of the planes on 9/11 as a 3-year-old. I remember, weirdly enough, I do remember that birthday because we were at a Chuck E. Cheese, and for my birthday, I got a Milo figure from Atlantis: A Lost Empire. How do I know that? I don't know. Wait, I'm checking to make sure that movie came out that year, because I'm not certain. It did. It did. Yep. I'm not hallucinating. I'm not crazy. I swear to God, I'm not crazy. On my life, I'm not crazy. I do remember that birthday for whatever reason, like a gain consciousness. But and I can't believe it is followed up by my grandma thinking that I drove one of the planes in 9/11. like, how do you come up with that shit? But like when I was a kid, I kind of didn't really know who my grandma was, or my grandma. And the reason that we moved up to Minnesota was so that we knew who our grandparents were and who our family was, because we were like, compared to like the rest of the family, we were like far away, far away, from most of our main family. I mean, we had some cousins here and there, but nothing really in comparison to like, the whole bulk of the family. So we moved up to Minnesota and, obviously learned that. I thought one of my, like, I think it was my mom's sisters, I thought was my grandma, which that's not true. And it took me a long time to realize that. And I don't know why it took me so long to realize that. Probably because I was a stupid kid. And plus, the one that kept calling my grandma had the same first initial for, first initial and first name as the grandma on my mom's side. So it's like, well, actually, no, that's not true. That's not true. Never mind. Never mind. Scratch all that stuff. That's not true. I just thought one of my dad's, my grandma on my dad's side, his mom, one of her sisters, I thought she was my grandma, which that was not true. And it took me a very long time to get that. I'm repeating myself, but whatever. But that was a big reason that we moved up, was because of family, and to like, so we would know, and to not have that happen, that situation happen more. And yeah, again, we visited time again. My grandma would always like, she was the one in the house, I can't really say that she was a stay-at-home mom. She probably was, one of the at-home wives, cooking and cleaning, whatever. I mean, she had 5 boys. She probably was. Like, no offense, she probably was. Probably good that she was. Uh, but if she was, that's the thing. But she would always cook for us, like too much. Like, I remember times that I would go up there, and she'd be like, "Oh, you want to have some lunch?" And we were like, we told them as we got in, we already had lunch, and she'd already be making food. It's like, we already had lunch. We don't need more food. I literally, like, when I was even in wrestling, like actively in wrestling, she's like, "Oh, you gotta eat. No, you gotta eat." Like, I'm 5 pounds over. I have to cut. I could probably have some mustard, and that's about it. But like, she would always try to get us like food and stuff like that. I love going to my grandma's house, grandma and grandpa's house, and I would keep track of it. Because my grandma on my mom's side was gone, so we called the farm grandpa's house, and we called, my grandma, my dad's parents, we called that grandma's house, just because it was easier. Although, and yeah, my grandpa, again on my dad's side, to clarify, he was a carpenter. Or he did a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff. Like he did groceries, he did restaurants, he did a lot of, like, he was a carpenter, he was a painter, like mainly a painter and stuff at the end there, because when the Billicles took over the business, I think, and just like did stuff with it for a while. And yeah. Like, I can't, I don't know when he retired or whatever, but he was one of those guys that, like, as like a typical family, like, my grandma cooked, he made things, like he built things, he did, he made things to pass the time. Like, I remember having like slingshots, or like toys and knickknacks and wooden things here and there. Um, Sometimes whenever we go over, he'd be fixing like a car or this or that, or building a puzzle or a clock. He liked to tinker with things, and I just remember that a lot. Like, he had like a whole like workbench in the garage to do things. And I got some of his stuff. Like, I have like a tool, like you put on a belt. It's not like a tool belt, but like it's a pouch that you put on a belt that you can put your tools in. I don't know what it's technically called, but I have that of his. It definitely has like some age, but it's still intact. It's very good. I haven't really like used it a whole bunch, but oh man, it's cool. I love it. Uh, yeah, he like he, but he'd mainly be the one to drive, and um, he had, like, he was very prideful in his work and stuff like that. Like, again, he wasn't the one to cook. It was my grandma that was the one that mainly cooked. But there were like, I think there were a handful of things that he took very big pride in when it came to cooking. The main thing, the absolute main thing, was around Christmas time. He has this kroomkaka maker, or like, like kroomkaka, like kind of like a waffle press basically, but it's for kroomkakas, which is this like thin cookie that you like wrap around. You can put stuff in it, but I feel like you don't have to. You can have them flat. You can have them like rounded up. They're like thin when they come out of the thing. It's like a small, like a light pancake, but once they like start to harden, they're like a kind of like a thin sugar cookie. But they're really good. They're really good. Like he made them amazing. He took a lot of pride in it though. Like he was the one to do it. And he made sure like those were always his thing. Like those were his thing. They were always good. Like, and I'm not one of those guys that really, cares for, treats and stuff like that. But when it came to those, you had a couple and like you gave me one of those. I'm like, gone. Another one gone. And like that's like a wrestling thing. Like even when like I was on like during wrestling season, if he was making kroomkak, I'm like, shit. Gone. Oh, damn, I have to lose a lot more weight now. Oh, well. Like, that was the exception. Like, that was a big exception. But he took a lot of pride in making that. A lot of pride. I don't know who... I'd have to figure out who has that, but I want to be the one to pass on that tradition because that would... I think I have a couple things, like, when I'm cooking... I have to make like I have like a few prideful things. I think one that really comes off the bat. The main thing that really comes off the bat is chili. I make a mean chili. I've like when I was living in the apartment. This is a different side story, but like when I was living in the apartment, I cooked like I made food and stuff like that. But like when I made bulk food, I think I only made it like twice, like 2 to 3 times, just because like it's a lot. But I make this dish called Big Chili, where it's a lot of chili. It's enough chili that it lasted me weeks, literal weeks of chili. Kept that shit in the fridge. Always good. Always tasted this like it tasted like just made it. It was so good. Like that's my pride and joy. And I know like that I know is definitely something that I think he has. And thing with my dad too. I think that's like a thing like we have. Or like obviously I think with a bunch like guys definitely have that. But I definitely notice like with us, my grandpa had kroomkaka. My dad has pudding, like ice cream and pudding. He like how my dad makes it. It's super stupid basic. It's so stupid and basic. But the way that he makes it, I don't know how or why or what. It's always the best when he makes it. Like he takes one of those like little, Jello packets of chocolate pudding. Mixes it, whatever, into a bowl, a Pyrex bowl, and then puts it in the microwave for a couple times. I don't really know until it gets like, steaming and stuff like that. And then you put it on ice cream. Put it into a plastic bowl, which is honestly the way to do it. Just like a plastic bowl. I can't explain, can't tell you why. When it's in that plastic bowl, the way that it's made, heavenly. I don't know why. I cannot tell you. That is probably microplastics going into my body. I don't know. I doubt it, but like, so fantastic. Oh my God. But yeah, I think that's how. Maybe I gotta maybe find a dessert dish too. And it's like, it's super simple stuff, but the way that we do it, but the way that it's made, it's just made, it's just, I can't tell you, it's made with passion, made with love, and oh my God, it's so good. I have a lot of good memories of like, as a kid too, and this is a dad story more or less, but like, it's a late night, whatever, or like after dinner, dad's like, oh, you guys want to have pudding and ice cream? Like, and both me and sisters are like, yeah. Oh, so good. So good. I think we still have the same, like the same Pyrex bowl that we would use way the fuck back when, more than 20 some years ago. That's how you know Pyrex is good. But yeah, oh man, so good. And I like any other way. Like I think I might have tried to do it. Not the same. Nope, sucks. Not as good. Just not right. I cannot tell you. But the way that my dad made it, and that's the same with my grandpa's kurumkaka. The way that they made it, it's perfect. Story about my grandpa too. My grandma. Speaking of like that summer when me and my dad were living at my grandpa's farm, I remember like going up to visiting my grandma and grandpa a bunch, and when we were up, I think it's mainly because like they dropped me off, kind of like a babysitting thing, but so that he could go to work. I remember times when like as like a thing, they would there was this comic book store or card store more or less called Shinders or by like yeah, it was Shinders. It was like a like kind of like a Twin Cities area like card store. And like if I talk to like some pretty old guys and stuff about like car stores, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I remember Shinders." Like I was a kid and I remember this. So I would always go into the Shinders near my grandparents' house, and I'd go in and buy like a handful of Pokemon cards. I think I still have quite a few of them, but I just remember this Mewtwo card that I got. It's like one where he's like doing a woo 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 at the hand, and I just remembered like Mewtwo is incredibly crazy, and just even find him in the bin, it's like wow, that's incredible. Honestly, if I like, there's no reason to. It's like if I was smart enough of a kid back then to like know about the investing and stuff like that, oh, I would have been a bit more of like, oh, let's get some more or whatever. But like, but I was a kid. That's what I kind of hate about. That's a whole different topic and a whole different day. But like, the way the Pokemon is being sold today is just absolutely abysmal. It sucks. It's outpricing kids, and it shouldn't be that way. Like, I have very fond memories of going to the card store with my grandma, when I think she kind of more or less, like, lack of a better term, I don't want to say it in a mean way, but she more or less fucked off for like 20-30 minutes to like an hour, and just let me go through cards. It's kind of funny. But yeah, I just remember looking through cards and stuff like that all the time, and going there with my grandma, and yeah, those were fun. Those are fun times. And when I got older, like they'd always like, because by this time, my mom's parents were already gone, and they would always come to our they try to always come to our shows. I think the last show of ours that my grandpa went to was my sister's. Like, she did a show of Big Fish, which is, if you know the show about Big Fish, probably the best show to go off, or to be the last thing that you see of your grandkids. Like, incredible, because it's about legacy and stories and stuff like that. Damn. Fuck it, I'm crying, dude. I don't care. But it's all good. It's all good. It's all right. That's fine. That's just how life works. You know, it's all right. It's good to cry. Uh, where was I? So they'd always come to shows and when they can. I remember my grandma coming up to my college for one of my shows. I'm like, it's very icy. I think she went to like maybe one or two, but like mobility stuff. Kind of glad that she didn't go to a bunch more. I think my grandpa did maybe went to one. I know my grandma did. I'm pretty sure went to one or more, like two, maybe three. I do not recall, but um, yeah, I remember like they supported us very well, especially towards the end. When they can actually really go to shows, they try their best to, and yeah. But when I was in high school, I think one of my best memories of being with my dad's parents, my grandma, grandpa, was during this. I want to say was the summer of my senior year. It had to have been my senior year of high school, like going into college. I'm pretty certain, or it could have been high school. I literally do not remember. But like every Monday, to avoid having to go through downtown Minneapolis traffic in rush hour to get to a horn practice, because there's this group that I practice French horn with like a bunch of all skill levels and stuff like that, called like Twin City Horns Club. I don't even know if they're around anymore at this current point, just because like COVID did a lot of stuff. Really messed a whole lot of stuff up. But the way that I avoided the traffic of going from home to there was staying in my grandparents' house, which was a lot closer. I still probably had to go through some rush hour traffic, but it's not like I'm sitting 2 hours in traffic just to get to this place that we were practicing at, this church. So like I would always spend lunch with them and that, and spend the afternoon with my grandparents. I remember one time specifically too. They were like, I don't remember why or what, but my grandpa was like, "Well, let's go out to eat. Let's go to KFC." Because it's something what they would get is the like $5 bowls. I don't know how much they are anymore, but it's like they put like mashed potatoes, chicken, stuff like that into a bowl. Those things are, pardon my French again, but fucking fantastic. They're small. They're like kind of like, you can maybe do like if you're hungry, you can probably eat like one. You can eat maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 at most, like 4 at most. But for like 1 or 2, you're full. Like those things are dense. They feel that shit good. They got me onto that. And I remember my grandpa driving there. He was wearing like a little like newsy hat, and he took a lot like he was driving and stuff like that. I just remember that very well, sitting in the back seat and walking up to the KFC. I don't know why, but like they got me onto that. And I still have, and the reason I bring that story up probably last is because I have a birthday card. God damn it, I'm crying, dude. That they sent right after that summer, and it says happy birthday, grandson. It's got like a weasel, like a blue weasel playing guitar. And then in the middle, the card itself says, hope you have a sugar cramming music jamming. That's the big thing. And favorite stuff you can't get enough of kind of day. Have fun. And then the written stuff says, love you very much. Sorry, it's curse. All sorry. We love you very much. Also, we miss you on Mondays. Hope to see you soon. Love, Grandma and Grandpa. God damn. God dang. Yeah, that's good. Oh yeah, I gotta talk about shit. Why don't I leave that? I should have left that last. But my grandpa got colon cancer, and I want to say it was like my freshman or sophomore year of high school. He was given like probably less than a year to live, less than a year to live, and he did through multiple things of chemo. Like even like when that KFC story, like he was like he's been through multiple rounds and times through chemotherapy, gone into remission. Like he was a trooper, complete trooper. I mean, he had a colostomy bag because he couldn't really shit anymore. But uh, he was a real trooper, and I do miss him a lot. I do miss my grandparents a lot. Yeah, and when he went to hospice, there's a whole convoluted story. He like more or less overdosed on some pills, and it caused him to go into like a hospital because like he needed to like whatever chill out. He was saying some wacky stuff, but because of that, missed dosage and stuff like that, he missed some chemotherapy treatments, which then allowed the cancer to spread and grow to being stage 4 and being terminal. And we knew and within like this was like November, and when I get to, I've already recorded those episodes of the radio show, kind of around like the November, early December time. That's around when, uh, and then literally the last episode as of this point of the radio show that I've put out. That's the last episode that he was alive. I He passed away on St. Patrick's Day of 2020, right before COVID. Honestly, perfect. Like I don't want to like I know the reason I believe more in a God, like in God, is like how incredible timing he has. Like the incredible timing. It on St. Patrick's Day that year, I was it was spring break, and I had time to visit him before, in hospice multiple times and stuff. And yeah, I'm going long on this one. I don't care. I don't care. And like he was in hospice, and we didn't know when. And I honestly thought he would have probably passed earlier in my time being there. But it was the day I was leaving. The day I was leaving back for college. And I was having a lot of trouble that day. A lot of trouble just, packing and stuff like that. And Bacon, this little sack of shit, was hard to get into the car. Like now I could just pick him up and throw him in and he'd be fine. Like I literally have like led him to the car and he jumped in. Like that's how much progress I have made with this little fella. Like he's not a car guy, but he's like, all right, sure. Like he hates the car, but he will get in. But he can't do kennels. That's just the thing. Uh, what? But I remember I had a lot of trouble. Like I had to like change out my side mirror because like it got whacked off or like it got hit off or something like that. And for whatever reason, like my back driver's side thing had like a light out. I can't remember. It was stupid and convoluted. So like I had to tape it over. Like I had to stop like 20 minutes before I got into the highway just to make sure it was taped on secure. And I remember calling my girlfriend's like, okay, I'm going onto the highway. I'm coming back now. I'll talk to you, when I'm like halfway there, I'll let you know when I'm like getting closer. And I get to about, from the Twin Cities, I get to about St. Cloud, right, the first exit that you can get to St. Cloud. And if you're driving north on 94, you'll know, because if you're like, close your mind, if you're driving, you'll be turning a little, like, kind of a sharp, like, big or wide turn left. It's not like the most insane one, but it's a very wide turn left. And on your right is a water tower, hotel, and like a McDonald's. That one. I can't remember what the exit is offhand. I've had a lot of trouble there before because I had, like, with that same car, and luckily this is before I had bacon. This is when I was moving into my apartment with my girlfriend at the time, and my car locked up and, like, caused what should have been like maybe a day thing turned into like 2 days to, like, move in. Like, I had to take it to a shop and they had to fix it and whatever. And yeah, it was not fun. Not fun. But I'm like, I get the call. I'm like, to my dad's like, you're not going to believe where I am. And he's like, well, you're not going to believe the news I'm about to tell you. And I'm like, no. I mean, not like in a joking way, but it's like, he passed away. I'm like, okay. I probably hung up probably like 30 seconds later. I pulled kind of over to the side. So I went over into the right lane and I called my girlfriend right away. Like, hey, he passed. Give me some clothes and stuff like that so I have some more clothes to have down there. I called my boss, told him exactly the thing. He's like, cool. Absolutely awesome. Man, I should have thanked him last time I was up there, Jesus. Because I do remember that very well. Damn. He's a cool dude. Literally, when me and my girlfriend went up there last, he was the first person I saw. It was just like, what the fuck? That's so wild. Uh, uh, but I immediately, like, I was like driving during this whole, like, thing happening. I was like making calls and stuff like that. I was like trying to turn around and stuff like that. But then I looked up into the sky and I saw him dancing. I saw him smiling, rejoicing, and I'm like, he's there. He's there. Yeah. Then I get to the hospice. I get into the I get into the building. I like just book it right to the room. Get into the door. My grandma's like crying and stuff. She's like, "Oh, what's going on?" I have family members like that were already there, like, having like little conversations, stuff like that. They see me walk in. I see my grandma like kind of like walk into the room. I just rushed right over and I gave her a big old hug. And that's that, like, I don't want to be prideful like, oh, but that struck a huge chord in the room and everyone was just crying then. It was big. It was a big moment. Yeah. It's good. Death is part of life. Yeah. Oh boy. Sorry, give me a minute to, like, I need to chill. I need to cool off from that. I've made peace with my grandma, and I mean, she hasn't been responsive. She's been, sleeping kind of unconscious. And last time I visited her, or when I visited her last week, I my dad was more certain that, kind of uncertain if she's, going to heaven or not. And during my time there, although, you know, with losing your spouse, and it broke her mentally. It broke her. She didn't know. She kind of like reverted. And she had the memory problems that her sisters had, and this and that. And even then, in that moment, in that time that I was there, I saw it. She knows. I think she's aware. She's not. She might not be all there, but she's aware. But she knows where she knows she's going. I do think my grandpa did take a big part of her with him, because she was, you know, in that fashion, she was really dependent on him and that sort of stuff, and she didn't really know, a whole lot of what was going on. She had good days, she had bad days of memory, when she was living in assisted living. But I mean, when she passed, we took her out of the townhome that she was living in and put her into assisted living, just because, not that she probably couldn't, but we didn't want her living alone. Yeah, but it's coming closer to time, if not now, pretty soon. Uh, yeah. Sorry that it's a very deep episode. Like, but it's good to tell about these stories. The whole reason that I made, like, I do this, it's not for views. It's not for views. It's none of that. I mean, if I get views, if I get sponsorships, cool. But the main reason, the whole reason I do it, is to pass down stories, so that not only my kids know, but the future generations will know. That's the whole reason. The whole reason that I do it. So that my story isn't gone with the wind. Not to be selfish. So that, not to be selfish for me. No, it's so that they know. They don't have to deal with that. So, yeah. If you want to watch this happen live, you can go to twitch.tv/MeltLikeOriginal, all one word. Where not only you can watch live, you can interact with chat, or change the topics, how it goes well. And you can watch the after show. Yeah. But after the 2 weeks it's gone, you know the gist. YouTube, Spotify for the episodes that are edited. Spotify also for the radio show episodes, which also have the playlists of the music as well. It'll come out every, the anniversary of each episode of when they aired. 5 years to the date. What else? I think that's it. Oh, well, thank you to Grains for the use of the song Used to It off the album The Call. I know a couple of them, I think John and Darian, went to California this week, like last week, this week. I can't remember. So they were having fun. I can't say exactly why. It's probably one of their girlfriend's parents, something like that. I don't really know. But yeah, they're having fun down there. I don't know if they're still there. Maybe they might have came back. I don't know. But yeah, I think more shows are going to be happening soon once they're back. Especially like in July, August, September, they're probably going to be doing a lot more shows. But yeah, we'll see. What else? I think it's pretty much it. I'm trying to calm down from this. My nose is just runny, probably because of the emotions, stuff like that. Sorry, I have to like. I'm good though. I'm good. Ah, thank you for listening, watching, doing what you do, and all the other stuff. But as I look at the time, yikes, it's definitely not midnight here anymore. But it is midnight somewhere else. So until it becomes midnight here once again, I'll see you later. But until then, you have a good one. Bye bye. Wait, that's not it. That's not it. That's not the wrong one. But for real this time. Bye bye.
Yeah, well, just when I needed you, I see from a different view. Oh, baby, now don't be scared, but don't get used to it. Yeah, when I told her I can't let go, when I told her I can't say no. Oh, baby, well, I was scared, but now I'm used to it. I was scared, but now I'm used to it.